to share his experience, strength, and hope.
I'm sure you didn't hear that. That means attack. Good afternoon. I have to attack my nerves. I'm a trumpet player, and it's very, it's very stressful at times because you always have to hit the right note. And the same, of course, is in sharing. My name is David. I'm a grateful member of ACA since I think less than 2 years, maybe 1.5 years, 18 months or something. And that is.
You muted yourself, David.
I did it myself. Okay. Sometimes I'm sorry. I don't know what you got, but yeah, I'm an extremely great member of ACA, and the adventure, the roller coaster that is upon my life these days because of the meeting, because of going into the intervision and literature, meeting people like me, like you, that are doing the same journey is incredible, healing and helpful, sometimes also triggering and difficult. I try to stay away from difficulties as much as possible, but I do realize that through ACA, my buried feelings and my protection has lifted and has been totally changed into a new realm of having feelings. I think I protected myself many years. I'm turning 70 this year. And I'm finally beginning to realize and grasp the enormity of being abused in a dysfunctional family and being made a scapegoat. I never understood this, but I do understand a lot more. I did a lot of research. I was a severe addict, still am, but fortunately I'm not having to numb myself or do myself damage that I used to do. The thoughts are still there, but the actions and acting out are not there anymore. I don't have to. I can, use the tools of the program and become a loving parent and to myself and applying self-care. And I've been in AA and NA and other OAs or A's, I mean, for about 30 years now. And it is devastating what a journey that is and was. And finally, I came to the ACA, where the trouble began and where hopefully the trouble will end. And actually, I do see it happen. I do see the miracle happen of relieving, the real bondage of self, which is in childhood, in my case. And that means that I have to let go of everything that I know about all these things and start a whole new life, a whole new, it's a whole new ball game. Same with computers. It's so crazy what just happened. I haven't used this computer for a while because I changed house and everything changed. And then all of a sudden I have to put passwords in and all these other things. And it's really similar to my own exploration and development and recovery, and to a new, a totally new self, or at least no, not a totally new self. The self is being rediscovered, really recovered, rediscovered. I'm rediscovering myself, and even this morning I went to a beautiful meeting and a beautiful meditation of a very soft and beautiful person, Sarah Blondin, who does this on Inside Timer. She has beautiful meditations that really help to discover the true, the true self. Yeah, exactly, the true self, and the seed that I was, the love that I lacked, the hurtful. I can look back on pictures of myself, and I see that I was a happy kid when I was like 2, or just before 2. I had no idea what was going to happen, and uh, I'm so vulnerable. And actually, I'm again vulnerable these days. So I have to really take care of myself. Been triggered today again, and a couple of weeks ago when I was into a training of narcissistic abuse survivors. So I'm a survivor of sexual, narcissistic, and physical, emotional, spiritual, and what have you not abuse. Um, and it's not good. And the thing is that I can talk about it here in the meeting, and I'm really grateful, but very nervous also to share about this because it's a whole new thing. I was very nervous before, already all day. I find now I had to rehearse with a guitar player who isn't really who isn't in the program, and people um, who are not in the program, not on the same page as I am, are totally different, and they have no idea what is ailing them at times. And not that I have to know that, but it has a big impact on me. I get triggered easily and very deeply. My amygdala is probably producing adrenaline, cortisol. I get stressed, and I have to really protect myself. My therapy recently stopped after about a little less than a year. I think about a year. And it was, therapy is never completely satisfying or perfect. I think, and I've learned in my decades of trying to heal, and I've been in decades of therapy with all different kinds of people that are, being paid for their efforts, which is okay. This is how the world turns. But the thing is that even with them, they don't know everything. The only one that knows everything, that's me. The body keeps the score. I know that I am triggered. I'm traumatized. I'm, in need of parenting, self-parenting. So it is devastating that this therapy all of a sudden, because the insurance stopped, they no longer pay. I don't know why, but I'm going to have to call them. But that's another thing I have to do. There's so many things I have to do in order to recover and to stay alive. I mean, life is a hassle in all kinds. I mean, just the computer, just getting this connection done. It took me like 20 minutes or so and then you have to hit the right buttons and to come in anyway. And I'm in, and I'm grateful for that. And it's really good to see you guys, although I see only 4 people right now, but I can have more. It's really good to be in a group that I consider my new family, whether or not we are triggered or not, or whether we are, on which part of the road we are on. I have 5 sisters, and the youngest was the golden child, or is the golden child, and I'm seeing her still. It's really difficult to grow up with a father that was traumatized and just shoved his trauma to me as a plate, on the dinner table. I swore when I was 40 or something, this ends with me. I don't have any children, which is a blessing, or yeah, it's a lack also, but it's what it is. So I have to accept that, and that's okay. I wish, of course, I had a son, or be a good father to a son. So I have to do that to myself now, to look at myself. If I look at the pictures, I was happy at 2, and then at 3 I became different, and at 4 and at 5 or 6 I was miserable, and at 7 I put on a face. I was, installing coping mechanisms and survival mechanisms and attitudes, of course. And I was, I think I was diagnosed with with ADHD a long time after. I think, well, I fell from a balcony like 5, 6 meters with my head on the stones, and I survived. I saw myself laying there, and I was diagnosed with minimal brain damage or whatever it is. I had a concussion. I had to lay flat on my back for 6 weeks or something. I don't remember a lot of it, but some of these memories are coming back, and it's good to realize that I'm still capable of singing a song and living life a little bit. But sometimes it's getting difficult. I mean, so much effort um, for so little return. Actually, what should have been normal is not normal and has to be reinstalled again. And I have to uninstall all the coping mechanisms, the patterns that I've developed over the years, of dealing with things that that also made me lonely. It just made me lonely, and I had to take care of myself, my own misery, my own grieving, my own sorrow. It took a long time to recover that. I understood also that discover that I had to take time to grieve. I had to take time to cry. I think the beginning of about 1.5 years ago, somewhere there. I'm very bad with dates and stuff, but I have cried 3 times a day out loud for 6 months, every day. It couldn't stop it. The water just came, and I had to. I don't know where all that grief came from, but I'm sure I stored it up to explore later or to process later. So that happened. That was good because that was a cleansing, of course, also, and uh, grieving and releasing. I think it's called also trauma release. I don't hear that a lot. Trauma release. I'm still releasing trauma and trying to become some kind of a whole person. Probably I will never be or will, but I have a lot of experience not being myself. And finally, I get a choice to make a choice to become myself in a certain, new way, new direction, because of also this program. I mean, at a certain point, recovery in NA and AA, it just stopped because it had reached its plafond, its ceiling. So God, whom I wish to call my higher power, is providing me with many things. Sometimes I see the coincidences. They say. Coincidence is when God or your higher power wants to be anonymous, which is funny. And sometimes I don't see it at all, but because it's not to be proven, the whole thing. That's why they call it faith, to have faith in something. And I have faith in a better life. And I got about 10, 15, 20 maybe. I don't know, in the state, because I've abused my body severely. I won't go into details, but it was difficult. It was about at least 50 cold turkeys to kick the habit that I did. I am helped. I took the hands that were given to me. I reached out. I took the help that was there, and that saved me intuitively, and intuitively also locked away a lot of my misunderstanding, my grief, my loneliness, my abandonment. I stored it in what I like to call and refer to as a stone igloo. There was no entrance and there was no exit. It was locked away. I think castles have these things. That's how they maintain ice in the summer. They put it in there. They put stuff on ice, literally. To be able to nurture themselves and nourish themselves in the summer, and they took it from the rivers or the streams that were close to the castle or whatever it is. And I think I did that internally. I stored up a lot of feelings. That's why I cried them out after so long. It was such an effort to keep all these things down, to keep them where they don't belong. They belong into real air and in open air. They belong in real life. They belong in, not in me, stored up. You know, it's a lot of effort, a lot of energy got lost with that. And I grieve about the things that didn't happen a lot as well. You know, the lost childhood, the lost career, the lost friendships, the lost siblinghood, you know, together with my sisters. I sometimes refer them as my daughters. You know, it's crazy. It's like Freudian almost, because I was more responsible, I felt, than my father in an emotional and empathetic way. So I became, I think, an empath and a scapegoat. And there were times in my suffering that I really thought that it would be better for me to die as a scapegoat. So my family, my sisters could live on without the hassle of a younger brother that would always harass them with these little truths about the dysfunctionality of the family and everything. I don't even know if they know what narcissism is, or you know, a dysfunctional family or alcoholism. My father could control his drinking. I also saw him cry in front of the television, but there was no real connection, no real bond, and I was desperately seeking for that with the only other male in my family. So I was completely, without any. You know, my mother was there, and she is very sweet and a very loving, caring, and maybe somewhat naive lady, which really took care of six children and there was a seventh, but the seventh child was there when my father chose to uh, make contact with a lady that was 19 while he was 38. She was half his age, and they went to live on a room in a place in a city, not so far, but I think one of the most devastating things were that our parents decided, and even my mother must have grieved a lot about this. You know, she was betrayed and she was traded in for another woman. And while they had six children and they were legally married, there's where the dysfunctionality also starts, of course. And she must have been, I don't know what, and I must have felt it as a kid. You know, I was close to her. I was always around her because there was nowhere else to go, or I would play outside and I would be very much afraid because they couldn't. My parents didn't divorce because my mother didn't want to. She was a Christian woman raised by a missionary and his wife, and they met. The both of them they met in Indonesia. My father was detained or taken prison into a prisoner of war camp and shipped to Japan from Indonesia in order to be used as a slave in the mine industry and the railroad industry, whatever. He was tortured and whatever. You have starved and all that. I think I saw pictures of him. So he must have had a difficult life, but that doesn't free him, in my opinion, of not taking responsibility for his only son to guide him, to help him, to lead him, to talk with him. I mean, he did some poor attempts, and I'm grateful for those. But it didn't really do the job. I have to do it myself still. It's over time. It was just, to get out of the denial and to really become to know the truth about how normal or how beautiful life could be if you have a nice set of parents. I think most of us can relate to that in one way or another, and it's more severe or less severe than some. It's just what it is, and we hurt, and that's why I'm here. I still hurt, and I still want to learn. I have a cramp now, so I'm doing the best I can. I'm going to read literature. I mean, I'm only 18 months in ACA or a little over, and I did many meetings already. I want to do a lot more because I feel at home. Not too much because I get over triggered or over prickled. I don't know what the word is. Oversensitized. I learned a new word this morning. in this meditation, and she called it supremely sensitive. Supremely sensitive. And I'm grateful for that thing. I am supremely sensitive. And supremely means that it's just good, you know. Overly sensitive means it's a little bit negative. No, I can use my senses again. I have come to my senses slowly, and I'm still coming to my senses. And it takes a long time to get used to these things because I never had them before. I always tucked them away. I had to survive. That was my mission. I mean, I used until I was almost dead. And I actually wanted to wake up dead, but I never woke up dead. I stayed alive, and it's a miracle in my eyes. I never thought I would become this old. I'm like 70. I thought I would be 30 at the most, something, you know. The way that I numbed myself. I mean, it's when I look back at these things, it's just weird, and I'm so grateful that these things are in the past, and that I get to find a way to understand a new way of life, and to leave all these things behind, because I never understood what happened to me. I felt it intuitively. I, I, I acted accordingly in order to stay alive. My survival skills were good in a way. They must have been. But now it's all different. Um, I get to become a new creation, a new person. My true self is really the seed, you know, that I'm after. And it's planted, I know, it just didn't grow, and it's growing right now. It's never too late to have a good childhood, and I am having it right now. That's my saying always. So I try to do the best I can. I'm cleaning house still because it's a mess at the moment, but it's getting there. I have help in cleaning my house, and I have a beautiful garden. I have, you know, beautiful space. I had a visitor yesterday, and she was really, she's she's from she's well, doesn't matter where she's from. She just became a good friend, and she's helping really good. Um, Let me admit somebody. I'm a co-host for the first time in my life, and I just admitted people to this meeting. Can you imagine that? Maybe one day I can do service and host or co-host sometimes. These meetings as well. You know, that's growth. That's growth to me. I'm not ready yet, but I know that it's growth. This lady had beautiful ideas about, you know, changing little things and becoming creative again, putting up some bookshelves and all these things. So there is a progression in this growth, in this recovery, and I urge everybody to wait until, you know, they say in AA the miracle happens, because the miracle does happen. I've been through a tunnel, and very deep and very dark, but now I see light at the end of the tunnel. The only danger I believe that can happen is that I, going through that tunnel, develop tunnel vision. And I shouldn't do that, you know, because then I will ponder on my grief and my hurt longer than necessary. I have to find a way to leave it behind, to just, you know, do the work, the maintenance, and then become free from all these things, you know, become a better version of myself. I think right now I'm at 35.11, you know, and I'm looking forward to becoming 35.12. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow, it doesn't matter. I just really update myself daily by coming to meetings. I was very nervous again to share. I don't have any contact with four of my sisters. I don't have any contact with narcissistic or toxic people. Although this morning the guitar player is pretty difficult. You know, I get triggered very easily, and I can really feel the adrenaline going rushing through my body, and the cortisol probably something like that. And that is for me also an extreme sign of progression and going forward, because I'd never had that. I think internally I protected myself from having these heavy triggerly emotions, but now that's probably, it gets worse before it gets better. So right now I'm triggered quickly. And if I take good care of myself, sit with myself, learn to live with myself, be alone with myself, um, doing the next right thing, having some more discipline, going to bed at time, which is difficult already for me. I still have, not to eat regularly, eat good food, drink water, sigh, have a good deep breath before I'm just too tensed and all these things. And I'm learning and I'm growing, and I don't think I have much more to add. It is just beautiful to be in contact with you guys and to really understand that there's a way out of this misery. And it was awful, but now I'm on the right path, and I wanna thank you all for listening. It really makes me feel connected. I have been lonely so long and for so terribly unknown. I didn't know what was ailing me. And now that I'm in ACA, I begin to realize what actually happened, and I can name it. I can put my finger on it. So I don't know what to finish better than to say that I'm grateful. I'm grateful. Thank you. Thank you.